What have you got to lose? What have you got to gain? Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 1312 of What's She Up To Now, documenting the journey as I transition from brick and mortar corporate world of business to the online world of business. And in 2020, a little bit of back and forth, a lot more dabbling in the offline world than in the online world. 47 plus years in 27 or more different industries offline before I came online in 2017. 2017, I decided, following my divorce, that I wanted to do something different. I was older and couldn't fathom going back to corporate America. I mean, I loved corporate America, had a great time there, but I didn't want to go back and get a job and work for someone else. I'd been on my own for too long. And then simultaneously, 47 years as well as 25 plus years working in corporate America, I have run my own businesses and always been curious about the online world, always been curious about the internet, but never really jumped in. Even my manufacturing business of 35 years, we didn't have an online presence. I know, I cringe when I think of that, and thank goodness I transitioned out of that before 2020, or it would have been massive scrambling to do some online work to make sure that that business survived and thrived. Now, what am I doing now? What am I doing as I've gone online? As I've gone online, I'm just documenting and sharing my journey here. I have got some big time vision problems. Everything I do is with massive magnifying glasses. I wish I had that one from the movie, the Santa Claus movies, where they do the big eye doctor magnifying glass thing. I actually wish I had something like that to do things more easily and more readily. A lot of the things I do these days are a bit of a challenge, but that just makes me work harder at things. It makes me figure things out. It makes me find ways to do the things I want to do despite what's going on in my life, despite what's going on around me. And that's what all of us need to do right now. We need to do what we can do with what we've got right now, despite what's going on in the with COVID-19, despite what's going on with politics or your environment or your relationships. We have to figure our lives out and keep moving forward no matter what's going on around us and outside of us. Our job is to manage inside of us and how we interact with the things that are outside of us. And everybody else's job is to do the same thing. It's not our job, even for our kids, it's not our job to think for them. It's not our job to manipulate them. It's not our job to make them do what we want. It's our job to create awesome little human beings out of them. So I remind myself of that daily. Now my kids are older, they're 27 and 30, so you know, I either did my job or I didn't at this point. And frankly, I think I did a great job because they're awesome human beings. And they now have kids and their little human beings are awesome too. So that's the best we can hope. I guess that's the best we can hope for, is that we all do the best we can. So why am I talking about what have you got to gain? What have you got to lose? Because that was our idiom for Supersize Your Business today. You've got nothing to lose. Now you've got nothing to lose. Turns out that is actually a business strategy, a business philosophy. There's a nothing to lose strategy when you're starting and building a business, which I found fascinating. I didn't dig deeply into it, but I thought it was fascinating that there is such a thing. And it turns out that there's 5 keys to doing that strategy. And I just thought it was interesting. It just goes to show you that somebody will find a way to turn anything into a way to teach other people how to do something, or a way to create something where there is usually believed to be a negative or a struggle or a bad aspect of it. They'll turn it around, they'll flip it around and turn it into something good. So I asked the question, what have you got to gain, instead of what have you got to lose? Because most of us naturally focus on what we've got to lose. We will do way more to protect the things that we already have than to get the things that we really want. Think about that. We will do way more to protect what we already have than to go after and get what we really want. We will do more to stay in a relationship that we're unhappy in than to go out and find a relationship that we would be happy in. Whether you're dating or in a long-term relationship, whatever, people do that all the time. I did that for 20 plus years. I mean, I was in a relationship, had my family, loved my kids, you know, wouldn't change it for the world, but it was a bad relationship for me. It was not a good relationship for me. And instead of you know, throwing in the towel, I guess would have been the right thing to do early on, I said, nope, I get married once in my life, I'm going to figure out a way to make this work. Well, that only works if both parties want to make that work. And so There's things that we can control. There's things that we are outside of our control. And we can never control another person. We can, what they want, what they feel, what they think. We can only control ourselves. We can only continuously improve, personally develop, and grow ourselves. We can't make anyone else grow and evolve or change. We can't. And so many times we think that when we get in relationships, when we get in business, when we get in situations, when we get involved with organizations, that we're going to change everything. We're going to make this massive difference. And it's interesting because my job's in corporate America. I was brought into the organization to change things. And sometimes it was to change things that had been in place for a couple of decades. Do you know how hard it is for somebody right out of college, and a woman no less back then, to hop into a corporate organization and be expected to change things that have been in the works for 20 years. It's very challenging. Did we do it? Absolutely. Was it super painful sometimes? Yes, for me and for other people as well, but we made the changes that were necessary to move the organization ahead. Now, it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes either I would leave or someone else would leave, but usually there's a way for people to meet in the middle and figure it out. Because if we focus on what we've got to gain, if we focus on what's in it for us, what's in it for them, we can find a ground where everybody wins. And I know that that sounds so hairy-fairy and woo-woo, but it's true. It's so true that we can fight and we can have winners and losers, and it's not the same as everybody wins, everybody gets a trophy. It's the grown-up version of working things out and realizing that there's plenty for everybody on the planet, and that we can find ways that I can get what I want as long as it doesn't hurt other people. You can get what you want as long as it doesn't hurt other people, etc. If we're all here trying to make the world a better place and contributing and giving value to the world, then we can have everything that we want. So I guess I'm off on a little bit of a tangent in the soapbox today, but I've just realized the power of asking a better question, the power of changing our mind and just stopping, taking a deep breath, and stepping back and looking at a situation, a conversation, a relationship, a problem, a challenge from a different perspective. You know, it's like thinking about having the bird's eye view of something versus being in the forest digging around and trying to find your way out. But if you were to be up in a helicopter and have a bird's eye view, that's why they say if you're lost in the woods, climb a tall tree, get to the highest point you can, and look around, get a lay of the land, and that's how you can get unlost. Did an idiom the other day about, I don't remember what it was, but it talked about being lost in the woods and how do you get out of the woods. And so I did some research on that, which I thought was really fascinating. It's also common sense. If you can see where you're going, if you can see how to get out of your situation, then if you can see even the next step, then you know that you can head in the right direction and that you can eventually get yourself out of it. If we approach everything that way, realizing that we don't have to have all of the answers, we just need to know what to do next. That takes so much pressure and so much stress off of us. At least that's worked for me. It's like I used to be the person with the 400 item to-do list, always. No matter, I could do 25, 30 things in a day or a week and check them off my list, and guess what? 20 or 30 more things would roll right back onto that list. So I always had this rolling 400 item to-do list. It was on the computer because it was too big to keep in a notebook anymore, or to keep in a remember those Franklin planners, and all of the different day timers that we went throughout our careers. Now they're all on the computer and they're all apps, and it's a lot easier. You know, my calendar's on my phone. It messages me whenever I've got a meeting or anything, so it's actually terrific. And then people can Voxer me because it's easy to just walkie-talkie and get an immediate answer, or I get an immediate concern, so I can think about while I'm doing something else. I can think about when I get freed up that I can respond to that. Doesn't mean I'm not paying attention to the person that I'm with. Doesn't mean I'm not paying attention and being present in the situation I'm in. It's just a faster, easier way to communicate. So there's lots of tools and things like that available to us now. So do you feel like in any area or aspect of your life right now, you've got nothing to lose? There's a couple areas in my life right now. I got nothing to lose. I got nothing to lose by improving my health. I've got nothing to lose by taking better care of myself. I've got nothing to lose by improving myself in any way, shape, or form that I so choose. Right now, this year, I'm working on communication and confidence. I added those to areas that I'm focusing on because 2020 taught me, and I hope I taught and shared this with a whole lot of other people, the most important thing that you can invest in bar none, depending on what you're chasing and what your goals are, is yourself. And that can apply to everything. Now, that can be twisted and used to waste time and energy if you're not actually doing anything with what you're learning and how you're growing. I mean, we grow by actually doing. You know, plants don't grow if you just put a seed in the ground, but you never give it any sunlight or give it any water or give it any nutrients. If it doesn't get any nutrients from the soil. So we're the same way. We can get planted, we can get an idea, we can read a book, we can watch a program, we can join a coaching program, we can watch a seminar, and we can not change or do anything. And if we don't change or do anything or absorb any of it and make it our own and try it out and test it out for ourselves, nothing happens. We just stay the same and we don't grow. And so I know actually literally thousands of personal development fans and people that do nothing but absorb personal development knowledge and information and wisdom, and they get it all and they read it all and they keep doing it, but they don't apply any of it. The key is to take what you learn, what you see, what you hear, what you think about, what you feel about, and say, what does that mean to me? How can I apply that? How can I use that in my life this week? How could I use that, today? That's why I like sharing the idioms, because I like to think about, and I remember when I was a kid, excuse me, still having the cold. I remember when we were teenagers, I grew up in a household full of girls. There were 4 of us girls growing up, and we had an AFS sister from the Philippines. So there were 5 girls at a minimum in our house during high school. And my youngest sister would listen to, I think it was KQRS back in the day, and they had a joke of the day. She would hear the joke of the day, and then she would tell all of us the joke of the day. She has great timing. I think she's just got a very good comedic timing. She always has had. And she worked at a comedy club with my other sister, oh God, back in the 80s. So that's really aging all of us. Sorry, sisters. But she would tell us all the joke of the day. And it kind of set the tone and made us all laugh, because she actually often did it better than the person on the radio did it. And so that was always fun to hear. And we'd all be getting ready, and we'd all be doing things, and we'd all be thinking about what we needed to do that day. But no matter how we were feeling, no matter what we were upset if we had a big test or something, or if we were fighting over the bathroom, she would come in with the joke of the day and just put a light on everyone else's day, just make us all feel better. And so sometimes there's situations where we feel like we just want to feel better and we've got nothing to lose. And so we need to start looking for what can we gain in those situations, not what have I got to lose, but what could I gain? How could I benefit? And it's part of why I do the idioms every day, is to get people to ask themselves, what does this mean to me? How can I apply this to my life? And then just apply it in little bitty ways. And even if you don't apply some and you apply others, that's the point, is to continually improve a little bit every day. It's like having a word of the day or a joke of the day, something that makes your life lighter and better and moves you in the direction you want to go, really pretty much automatically. You don't have to work very hard to do it. You just make it a routine part of your day. You can do that with a lot of things. Affirmations, morning routines, meditation, hypnosis. There's all kinds of things you can easily incorporate into other things that you're doing. I don't recommend meditation or hypnosis when you're driving to work or driving to the store, but there's things and there's ways to incorporate different little tools and techniques and strategies, things like asking questions into your life, gratitude journals, that make just automatically help you to create the life you want and get you progressing toward what it is you want. All right, I don't even remember the point of all this, but one of those things is an annual challenge. This is year 4 of our annual challenge. It's been something different every year. I pick a theme. Started in, I want to say 2018, 19, 20, 21. 2018 was the first year I did an annual challenge. It was to do one thing every day that scared me, to stretch my comfort zone. And that led to doing, I can't remember what the next one was. It was something about happy. Love or happy. I think it was happy. Do one thing every day that makes you happy. Then 2020, thank goodness, was to do one fun thing every day, which was perfect with COVID-19 because I was fortunate enough to hang out with my 4-year-old, then 5-year-old granddaughter during the whole pandemic shutdown time. At least here in Wisconsin, it was from mid-March to end of August that I got to hang out with her, because then she started kindergarten. And luckily she was one of the kids that got to go to kindergarten. Yeah, they had to wear face masks, which I won't even get into because I think it's so ridiculous and so bad for children. And I used to make face masks for 3M, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing. So I know we used to test and do quality. I used to do that on them. So these things that people have been calling masks and face masks are absolutely positively, ludicrously ineffective. You know, the joke about you might as well be breathing through a screen door is absolutely dead nuts on. And so that's my probably opinion I didn't need to share about masks. But do I wear them? Yes. I have a cold. If I were to go to the store right now, I would wear one of the little blue masks. I don't have any N95s because I don't know that anybody's been able to find those for a while, but not necessary, overkill, because I just have a cold and I just don't want to sneeze on people. It's not because I have COVID, not because of the pandemic. It's because, you know, some of this stuff that's come out of the pandemic, believe it or not, is things that we probably should have been doing all along. When you're sick, and I'm super guilty of this, when I was sick, I would go to work no matter what. My job's in corporate America, I would be on my deathbed. The exception was my kidney surgery, but I was in the hospital emergency, so it was not like I could go to work. But otherwise, I would go to work no matter what. No matter how sick I was, I would go to work. I went to work the day that I ended up having to have my kidney surgery. I was at work that night. I was working the night shift, and I ended up laying on my office floor, and finally ended up having to go to the doctor because I couldn't move because I needed kidney surgery. I had a totally infected kidney and almost lost my kidney. But that was our philosophy. You work no matter what, and that was the work ethic we had. Maybe it's my generation. It's definitely gone by the way of the dodo with this most recent couple of generations. At least that's been my experience. You know, people would just not show up, not show up for work. And before COVID, and maybe it's different since COVID, but mind-boggling to me, just mind-boggling that all of a sudden, you know, here I'm worrying and calling their family and police thinking that they've gotten in an accident or something, and they just decided they didn't want to come to work that day. Okie dokie. Thanks for letting us know. All right, so I am totally off the track, but our annual challenge today is to do one thing every day that centers us, our All About You 365-day challenge. It was to the good life is inspired by love and knowledge. So we were sharing what knowledge we get today, what wise thing we see or hear or think or feel or watch. We're going to share some knowledge that helps us to lead the good life. And the good life, of course, is defined by you. You get to decide and define what's a good life for you, because the good life for me is, I'm guaranteeing, different than the good life for you, because each of us defines good and life and knowledge and wisdom and love differently, just like we all define everything differently. And again, the most important thing is, what does it mean to you, and how does it help enhance your life and make your life better? So that's it. That's what I'm working on. Get Up and Go challenge ended a couple of days ago. I'm always a little off when I am not doing the challenge. It's really weird. It's like, it makes me so much busier and more focused when I'm doing the challenge. Then all of a sudden the time and energy that I put toward that is available for other things, which is awesome because I've got other projects going on. But I always have that little sense of loss when it ends. And so I think that's true of anything, and that's why it's important that we roll into the next thing and the next thing and the next thing when we're going after our goals and our dreams. All right, any questions, any help, any thing you need help with or have a question about and you don't know who to ask, please ask me. Don't ever feel stuck like you don't know what to do, because there's always a resource. There's always somebody that can help. And if you don't feel like you have someone like that in your life, please ask me, because I've been there. I know what it feels like to feel like you're on your own and there's no one to ask. And the cool thing about being willing to ask and asking someone is, once you do that, it opens the floodgates and the answers come rolling into you, usually even before the person can answer. Now, if you Voxer me and you ask a question, I can probably get back to you almost immediately, depending on what I'm going on. If I'm on a coaching call or if I'm at a consulting gig or something, I'm not going to answer. Sorry, you'll have to, I'll get to it when I get to it. But otherwise, just feel free to direct message and ask, because you asking the question, you're probably, I know, ego breaker, but you're probably not the only person on the planet with that question, or that has that question, or has had that question. And you're certainly not but you're certainly probably not the only person that has that question right now. And so let's make sure we get your question answered and you moving forward, because that's the most important thing, is that you get what you need and that you're moving forward and creating the life that you want. Everybody else, yeah, go ahead, do your own thing, be happy. But the most important person, the most important life that you need to work on is your own. All right, have an awesome day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow. Bye. That was weird.